What's up, everybody? It's time to put some respect on Philadelphia sports teams. The Philadelphia Phillies take game one against the Braves. Let's show some respect. The Eagles are going up against the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. You would think the Eagles were 0-5 with the disrespect that they are getting locally and nationally. So it's time to put some respect on our teams nationally and locally, people. Trending in the AM starts in 30 seconds.
Holding gets around in front.
And Philadelphia has it.
And a very good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trending in the AM on DSM Media. We're live. Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Like, share, retweet, follow on all social media platforms. Make sure if you want to get interactive with the show, Facebook or YouTube's the place to go. Go over to our DSM Media YouTube page, hit the like button and the subscribe button if you'd like. Turn the notifications on as well so you do not miss a minute of the action when DSM Media goes live throughout the week. And, of course, especially when DSM Media's the best and only morning show that you should be listening to in Philly, Trending in the AM, is live. I am Phil Stiefel at Beard and Knowledge. We got Dylan Davis, Dylan JD98 sitting next to me, and down below we got Jason Voorhees at Mustang3651. Phillies, take game one, boys. We all predicted it. We all saw it. But we're called biased fans for calling it. But damn, it's time to put some respect. We'll get to the Eagles' respect later in the show. Time to put some respect on this Phillies team, guys, because they just took it to the Atlanta Braves in game one. Dylan.
Yeah, man, it's funny. Scotty and I have been having this conversation a lot about the Eagles. Like, after going 3-0 and 4-0 and now 5-0, when is it time to rip off the humble Band-Aid, the not wanting to buy in and get hurt Band-Aid, because this team is for real. And we've kind of started to reach that point with the Eagles now that it's been through 5 weeks. I think I know it's only game one of the NLDS, but I think it's time to rip off that Band-Aid when it comes to our Phillies. Of this team actually belongs in the postseason. Absolutely. This team can compete with World Series contenders and previous World Series champions in the postseason. It's only game one. It is going to be a long, hard-fought series. But it's time to really start to buy into this team, to believe in this team, and to put some respect on this team's name.
I mean, we could get into specifics of the show, but I was talking yesterday, Jason. So after the game, I got this. I've talked about him on the show before. This older guy, Andy. He's about 85 years old, retired principal from the Kent Square area. And I knew yesterday, as soon as that game was over, within 20 minutes, he rolls up, he pulls up out in front, not even in a parking spot. He just double parks and he comes right on into the pizza shop. I knew it was going to happen.
Baller move.
Knew it was going to happen. And the first thing I said to him, Jason, was, we won all year one way, by hitting home runs. And guess what? What do we have? One home run so far in this playoffs? The whole entire playoffs? We scored 7 runs yesterday by the one thing we do badly, small ball. And so that just tells me, Jason, that this team hasn't even peaked of what they can do in the playoffs, especially offensively, right?
Absolutely. I think someone here called the Nick Castellanos coming out.
Well, I said MVP if they gave out MVPs, and he definitely hit that. But it wasn't like he hit 2 home runs yesterday, Jason.
Right.
He hit a hard double.
To opposite field.
Yeah, and then he pulled a ball through shortstop that was a low and away, which was actually a very impressive hit. Small ball from one of your home run hitters, Bryce Harper, a bunt yesterday. Well, maybe not a fan of the bunt, but he bunted yesterday. So small ball from home run hitters is paying dividends.
Yeah, and then defense that you wouldn't expect. I mean, you could argue that Nick Castellanos' play in that 9th inning was more important than the hits. I mean, that saved the game. He gives that – if that ball drops in, that could have been a triple.
Game's over, fellas, if that ball gets to the wall.
No lie.
But that goes to the whole theory of Rob Thompson does not make – when he pushes a button, he pulls out Kyle Schwarber and moves Veerling over to left field. Theoretically speaking, you're like, why is he moving him to right field and taking Nick Castellanos out? Because Schwarber, on paper, is a smidge better of a defensive player than Nick Castellanos. I mean, they're both negligible. Like, they're not the greatest defensive players, But Rob Thompson, when he makes a random move that we're like, what? He makes the right one every single time. Maybe Matt Vierling makes that play, maybe he doesn't. But Nick Castellanos making that play not only saved the game, it just proved again that Rob Thompson is spot on every single time when he makes a decision.
His response to the reporters about it too is
Yeah.
one of the funniest things you'll hear all year. When they ask him about the catch, Nick, what went through your mind? What happened on that last catch to save the game? I saw him swing and I saw him hit the ball and I ran after the ball and thank God I caught it. Well, thank you, Nick. Thank you for that great observation. He's so to the point, really kind of get out of my face, but that's the attitude we loved about him coming into Philly. Listen, fellas, we all talked about him for a quick second. Jason brought him up, and we talked about that mental aspect with him, right? He's asleep. He's the guy that has to start to play loose. He's that sleeping giant, as Jason called him. He showed up in the biggest way possible, and it did exactly what we said. It makes you forget about all the lows throughout the regular season. And if he starts to get rolling, now I know Bryce still doesn't have the long ball going. I don't really love seeing Bryce and Schwarber being the only two guys to lay down bunts in a game. But it goes to that small ball, as Phil said. Bryce drives one opposite field off the wall. Bryce ripped a single with 2 outs to keep the inning alive in the first inning. That was another biggest thing that we talked about, right? Runners in scoring position, Phil, and they were unreal with them yesterday. And a lot of them came with 2 outs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first inning, the tone was set right away by coming out. You get the Schwarber and Hoskins get out. Schwarber
4
first
pitches
pitch swinging. I'm actually okay with Schwarber first pitch swinging. A playoff game on the road, Schwarber is very capable of taking that first pitch, setting the tone and putting it in left field or right field, setting the tone with a home run. We've seen him do that, multiple times this year. But then Hoskins gets out, and then you get 4 straight 2-out hits and get 2 runs. And they were single, double, single, single. I almost locked up my same game parlay in the first inning there. That's how good that first inning was. And it just goes to show that, you're going up against Max Fried, one of the best pitchers in baseball, probably a top 5 Cy Young candidate this year. And we had our third pitcher on the mound. The offense had to come through. That offense was not scared of Max Fried. They did what was necessary, and not just in the first inning, throughout the game. I don't know what the final numbers were, but they did flash it up at one point. The 3 through 7 hole was 10 of 20. When your 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hole hitters are hitting 500 in a game, when you've got the number 1 pitcher on a 101 win team going, that sets a tone, not just for the game, the whole series, the rest of the playoffs that the Phillies are in. Teams now know it's not just the Phillies hitting home runs. This team is capable. And all of a sudden, it's like a switch flipped, and a light went off in their head that, yeah, we don't have to go up there swinging for the fences every single time. I mean, does Schwarber even have a hit yet in 3 games in the playoffs?
I don't think so.
I think Hoskins has 1 hit, and it was yesterday. And that was it. So you've now won 3 straight games in the playoffs. We are 10 games away from a parade down Broad Street, blah, blah, whatever you want to joke about. But we've done it with 1 home run hit so far. 1 home run against 3 star pitchers in baseball. Quintana, Milagros, whatever his name is. Yeah, I can't say his name. I know it seems so easy, but I can't say it. And Max Fried. You just took it to 3 really good damn pitchers with hitting 1 home run. Sets the tone, sets the thing. And let me tell you something, guys. The Braves, Jason, gotta be concerned and questioning themselves and scared of what the next couple of days is going to bring.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I talked about it yesterday, the layoff. It really is an advantage, I believe, to not have the layoff. Because I think when you play, you think about it, think about teams like, just look in the history of baseball in the previous years of playoffs. Teams that have had runs later in the year, like Atlanta last year. Atlanta last year was not the best team in baseball. They weren't last year. And they won the World Series. And they did that because down the stretch, they played, 700 baseball, and they had to fight to get in. Once they got in, they just kind of went on that run. And it's the same thing. I see it. Like, it's so weird. But I have, I know it's early, but like you get that feeling and that vibe of teams of destiny, teams that just have the capability of winning a championship, but maybe they're not the best team on paper in the dance, but they're the team that does the best when it comes time. They put up.
But I got to question that for a second here, for a second, because they're not the best team on paper, statistically speaking. But coming into this season, a lot of people throughout baseball were saying this was on paper. So it was a really good team on paper that struggled, didn't live up to expectations. But there's still you still got Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos, JT Realmuto, Kyle Schwarber, Zach Wheeler, Aaron. You still on paper, you have a really great
one
team.
of the better rosters.
Yeah, I'm not better roster. So I just want to. I'm not trying to counter what you're saying. I'm trying to add another depth to it, where they're statistically speaking not the best, but 6 months ago, a lot of people outside of Philly were saying this Phillies team's really damn good.
Oh yeah, but what I'm saying is that they're not the Dodgers, they're not the Astros. Like they're not. Right. They're the two teams. If you looked at me right now,
Verlander got rocked yesterday.
Well, and what's the common denominator? Justin Verlander had a long layoff. The Astros were
all three other home teams won yesterday, though. All three home teams. The Astros had to come back.
Well, the Astros had a 3-run home run in the ninth inning.
Yeah. The Dodgers had to come back. Did they not? The Yankees or the Dodgers?
No. The Dodgers cruised, and the Yankees were down 1-0, but they ended up winning 4-1.
Okay, so it was only 1-0. Yeah, gotcha. Sorry. But yeah, on paper, this team might statistically not had a great season, but there is a lot of talent on this team. I just want to make sure people say that it's not like they're coming out of nowhere because they struggled down the stretch so much. That hypothetical using the term backdooring their way into the playoffs, kind of the best of the worst teams made that last spot. But there was a point in the season. I mean, people were predicting 92, 95, 96 wins for this team. Before the season, they
roster wise, yes, they were.
They just didn't live up to their expectations to start the season.
But, however, they are now.
Exactly.
And Jason, and that's what I was trying to get at with what I was countering your thing with, is they didn't live up to those expectations, but it doesn't matter. All you got to do is get into the dance, and then once you're in the dance, if you live up to your, it's like when we talk about the Sixers. Do we care if they're the 3 seed or the 4 seed? No. As long as once they get to the playoffs, they're healthy, and Joel Embiid and James Harden take us to the title. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with this Phillies team. Bryce Harper could hit 227 the last 2 months of the season, all he wants. If he goes 3 for 3, 4 for 4 in baseball games in the playoffs, that's all that matters to me.
Why did they call Reggie Jackson Mr. October?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. I mean, Dylan doesn't even know.
Reggie Jackson would hit 200, and Yankees fans would be like freaking out, cursing at him. And then come playoff time, he would hit 7 bombs and win.
Yeah. I know him from the bench warmers. Listen, it's kind of what I said yesterday, right? How they're at this weird crossroads right now, because why do they have that team of destiny feel? Why? Because they're underdogs. They technically are underdogs. They were the last seed in to the NL. They're road dogs. I get it, but they are super talented on paper. They just didn't live up to it throughout the regular season. There were a lot of lows throughout this regular season. If they hit that stride, like hopefully they are right now, starting the postseason off 3-0, they are a dangerous team. And JT Realmuto said it best. No one's excited to play the Philadelphia Phillies right now.
Absolutely.
Nobody. So it's a very fun time to be a Philly fan. And that last comment was this dude was huge.
Yeah, I want to dive into this playoff, this bullpen situation right now. We're going to go back. We're going to backtrack to Ranger Suarez in a minute.
Yeah.
But I think this bullpen situation is very important. And Libby, we will get to the Eagles in a little bit, 15, 20 minutes. We will start talking Eagles, Dallas. But Sir Anthony Dominguez, first off, I want to flash forward to Zach Eflin. He obviously he struggled in the 9th inning. And I put out a tweet, how much longer can we go with him when Jose Alvarado and Sir Anthony Dominguez are pitching so well? But yet after the game, Rob Thompson was pretty clear. I mean, he didn't say Zach Eflin is my closer. He left the door open if he makes another decision today to change it, that he can. But if you listen to Rob Thompson's comments, he said something along the lines of, well, Zach Eflin, at least he's not scared. He goes out there and he fires no matter what. He gave the impression that in a 3-run game, Zach Eflin in the 9th inning is going to go back out there. But Sir Anthony Dominguez, I question it. He went 10 pitches in this first inning that he pitched. Was it the 6th inning? And they bring him back out for the 7th. And I instantly tweeted, I'm not a fan of this idea because then tomorrow, if you need him, he might not be available. And we've seen it all year. Dominguez, they don't pitch him 2 days in a row normally, right. Because they've been resting his arm. Maybe they've been doing it for this. They've been doing it maybe for this situation. He goes out in the 7th inning and only throws. He pitches 2 innings of clean baseball, only throws 18 pitches, and he literally makes the Braves hitters look like single-A rookie ball players. I mean, he overmatched every single one of those hitters he faced.
It was such a drastic change, such a drastic difference from the 3 pitchers we saw before he came into the game in the 6th inning, right? Like we saw Ranger struggle. Brogdon was awful. Bellotti got out of a jam. And we'll talk about all the negatives throughout the pitching staff in a minute, but Sir Anthony was humongous. Phil, you brought up, they don't like to throw him a lot, multiple days in a row, especially when he throws for 6 outs. They do have an off day tomorrow, though. So possibly if he needs to come in to get 1 or 2 outs in an important situation tonight, they could. Other difference maker is you do have Zach Wheeler starting the game. The hope is he can get into the 7th, and then you don't need Sir Anthony technically tonight. But he saved the game, man. And I tweeted right back at you because it's what we talked about yesterday morning. It sucks looking ahead, possibly, because he might not be available today. You do what you got to do to survive. And
the funny thing is, I was talking last series about you got to do what you got to do to survive. Yeah. And everyone's like, if you need to bring in Ranger Suarez in the 7th inning or the 6th inning of game 2 to keep your season alive, I'm like, don't worry about game 3. I don't care about game 3. I worry about
get to game 3 first.
You got to get to game 3. And now everybody's saying the same thing about yesterday. You got to win now, win the game at hand, and worry about the next game later. It's kind of like everybody's thinking the same way as me now. I mean, Sir Anthony Dominguez, do you worry, guys, that Zach, if Rob Thompson, he's been very loyal to his guys. Jason, you know this. I mean, he hasn't pulled Kyle Schwarber yet from that leadoff spot. You know what I mean? He's very loyal to his guys. Are you worried that Zach Eflin might get thrown back out there again? In the 9th inning. He's obviously showed in that one game against the Cardinals. I mean, we won. He held on to the game, but he did get hit around a little bit in that inning. I know he only gave up, I think it was only 1 run, but he gave up several base runners, and he did it again yesterday. And you can't be a guy throwing 93-mile-an-hour fastballs and be a closer in baseball anymore.
Yes and no. I firmly believe in today's game, the closer role has technically changed. To me, I'm looking at my best reliever to come into the highest leverage of situations. Absolutely. And I think that's what Sir Anthony did. I don't think necessarily Eflin coming in the 9th, yes, it was still very important because they were up 4 runs. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that I look at closers, I've always said this, closers to me actually tend to do better in 1-run games when it's like do or die. When they come in with like a 3 or 4 run lead, I've seen the best of the best closers implode. And that's kind of around baseball. I mean, you saw it so many times this year. Like, Josh Hader is a perfect example. Josh Hader, the Phillies broke Josh Hader. The Phillies broke Josh Hader. Josh Hader had not given up a run in like 25 straight appearances, right? Coming into this year. Yeah. The Phillies blew him up, and that was because he came in with I think it was like a 3 or 4 run lead, and
then they broke Helsley last series.
So I don't necessarily fear Zach Eflin. I think the point is that you got to remember he just got thrown into this, so it's one of them things.
Yeah, but you don't throw people into situations like this in the playoffs. You don't let them learn on the fly in the playoffs.
I'll play devil's advocate real quick.
Wasn't hurt. If David Robertson wasn't hurt,
you're reading my. I was trying to cut you off, Dylan. We were all thinking the same thing. He's probably not in that situation if David Robertson is here.
Yeah, I mean, I think,
Which was crazy that kind of
a
dropped.
cone-headed injury.
I got a question for you guys. I don't even know this. And Kyle brings it up. Brogdon boys got to go. Brogdon pitched terribly yesterday.
Oh.
I'm going to say the situation that we were in the ninth inning. Was Brogdon on the roster last round?
I don't think so.
It was either Brogdon or Bellotti wasn't on the roster last round. So Brogdon wouldn't have been in that situation if David Robertson didn't get hurt.
Well,
Eflin might not have been in that situation if Robertson doesn't get hurt. Robertson keeps getting hurt and screwing the team every time he's in Philly.
So I will play devil's advocate for 1 second with Zach Eflin, because it is a scary sight to see that the way that ninth inning kind of exploded, and there was almost a season-altering comeback by Atlanta yesterday. But that was his fourth save in the last week, and the first three he looked pretty damn good. So it's not like he struggled in three of the first four, and Topper keeps throwing him out there. It's the first time he gave up a run, still got the save. The other thing is you brought up it's David Robertson's fault. No one would have been out there if Ranger Suarez did his goddamn job yesterday. Yeah, nobody. Connor Brogdon wouldn't have been out there in the fourth. Andrew Bellotti, Brad Hand wouldn't have had to get it out in the fifth. None of it would have had to have happened if Ranger Suarez does his job. And if I had to hear John Smoltz and people on social media applaud him for a great, I get it. He worked out of those jams, and they were humongous, obviously, with the way the game ended, that he got out of those jams without surrendering a run. My God, this dude's control was off the charts from the first inning on.
Here's the question about Ranger Suarez, guys, is that obviously the Braves smash and rake against left-handed pitchers. They thrive on left-handed starters. Everybody in their lineup, righty and lefty, just rake against lefties. Say this gets to a game 4 or 5. Are you rolling with Ranger Suarez again? Or if it doesn't and we get into the next round, do you roll with him against a team that maybe he has a little bit more success? Look, let's be honest. His last two outings against the Braves, he gave up a combined 1 run in, I think it was 12 and a third innings in his last 2 starts. So he has had success against the Braves.
I'd still
maybe the moment in the playoffs was just too big for the kid in his first opportunity.
Here's the thing, though. He didn't get rocked. He only surrendered 1 run. It was a solo home run, right? So he didn't go 3 innings and give up 5 runs and they were losing the game. The problem is you can't have any more of those 3-inning starts the rest of the way.
5 batters.
That's the point. That's the point. And I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but it was him, it was Brogdon, it was Bellotti when he came in. Their command or their 2-strike approach, Phil, I don't think a team all season has seen more full counts than the Atlanta Braves offense had yesterday. Mm-hmm. Any time a Phillies pitcher before Sir Anthony enters the game got the Braves down 1-2 or 0-2 in a count, I get it. 0-2, 1-2, you throw something out of the zone, hope they go fishing, hope they chase, whatever. Guys, it has to be somewhat close to the plate. It has to give the illusion it could be a strike. These 1-2 and 0-2 pitches were so far out of the stratosphere of a strike. It was a free pass, and then lost control.
Smoltz sucked. I hated having Smoltz on there, but he did say it multiple times. Dude, that was a ball as soon as it left the hand. Yeah. And professional hitters can tell that. If we could tell it, professional hitters can absolutely tell it. Kyle's saying if you go to game 5, Wheeler's got to pitch on 3 days rest. Yeah, I mean, who's going to pitch game 4 then? I don't know. I'm concerned in this Brave series. I'm concerned with Ranger Suarez, but that's why we have Zach Wheeler. That's why we have Aaron Nola here, so that today and Friday we don't have to worry about getting to a game 5. This is why you got the big guns. This is why you go out and spend $125 million on Zach Wheeler.
You're right, but if there's a fear and a lack of confidence in Ranger Suarez, which I'm not sure there will be, Topper doesn't see. You talked about his confidence and his faith in his guys. So I don't think that start by Rangers is going to deter him. But you do have 3 other starters sitting in your dugout, in your bullpen. Not that any of them are great options in NLDS or NLCS, but if you have to, you got to roll the dice one of these times.
Now, I don't know if Noah Syndergaard. I don't think he ever pitched in the playoffs, and I don't know if Kyle Gibson ever did. Maybe Topper made a mistake by bringing Brogdon in that situation. I don't know when the last time Connor Brogdon. It was
he hasn't pitched well in 2+ months.
Yeah, the start of the 5th inning. you got 4 innings to go against the lineup. He had already had Noah Syndergaard warming up in the bullpen, earlier in the game. And starters do take a little longer to warm up in the bullpen. Maybe he should have gone to Noah Syndergaard there instead of Connor Brogdon.
Noah Syndergaard does have postseason experience with the Mets when they went to the
I wasn't sure if that was one of the years he was hurt or not.
He actually
when they made the playoffs.
He went 2-1 and he had a 2.42 ERA.
Long time ago, but I'll still take that.
He missed 36 bats. He struck out 36 and walked 1.
Yeah. So right there, that says that maybe you go with the guy with experience. Because look, if anything can be said about the whole entire with the Brogdon situation, the Ranger Suarez situation yesterday, it was the big lights of their first time in the playoffs. Where a couple days ago we said how great Aaron Nola looked in his first time in the playoffs. Right. Ranger Suarez and Connor Brogdon, it just looked like the moment might have gotten to them a little bit. They were walking. We walked 7 guys in the first 4 innings. You just can't do that. The fact that we did that and still won the game is a miracle. So 100%. Maybe the next time you throw Ranger out there in the playoffs or Connor Brogdon, hopefully we don't ever see him again in the playoffs. But maybe the moment won't be as big for them. Maybe they won't be as juiced. When you're walking guys like Ranger did yesterday, it was because he was so amped up. He was overthrowing pitches, which was causing high and outside, way down in the dirt. That's what happens when you overthrow a pitch. So maybe the next time the moment won't be too big for him. But, I think that was a big risk. And I think Rob Thompson got a little lucky that Connor Brogdon didn't let the doors get even more blown off the hinges there.
It was nice to see Brad Hand make an appearance, finally coming back off of injury.
Brad Hand and Andrew Bellotti did their job yesterday and did it damn well. Andrew Bellotti gets shit on a lot in the city because people don't think.
I trust him more than I trust Connor Brogdon.
I mean, he is not going to be a closer. He did close 1 or 2 games out early this season when injuries were creeping up, but he's a great middle to early middle relief pitcher to have in your bullpen. He kind of reminds me a little bit of. He could play that Chad Durbin role where he's like that utility guy. You throw him out there for
Durbin.
Here or there. You don't expect him to be lights out, but Jeff Geary's another one. Yeah, absolutely. Guys that don't impress you, but get the job done pretty frequently.
Real quick, how about we're sitting here talking about toppers, pushing all the right buttons. Edmundo Sosa again, man.
Again.
Comes in, leadoff double, bang. I don't know. There's something about the guy. I like him. Again, I guess it's props to the Phillies coaching staff and their hitting coaches
for bringing him in.
Right, because it's not just their
field. We all laughed. Why did he just trade for a $180 hitter?
Yeah, exactly. And now he's hitting over 230 as a Philly. Not that that's great, but it's a hell of a lot better than what he was doing in St. Louis. And with that glove, it's definitely serviceable. But pushing those right buttons, man. I'd expect Marsh and Stott back in the lineup today, though.
Absolutely. All right, so today, we win yesterday. That's great. Woohoo! We won that game against the Braves. It's almost meaningless if we don't come out and win today. We got to win today. We got Zach Wheeler going against Kyle Wright, the Major League Baseball leader in wins. I didn't think anybody was ever going to win 20 games again. He won 21 games this year. It's almost like a meaningless stat for a starting pitcher anymore, wins and losses.
Yeah.
Can Zach Wheeler do today to shut this lineup down? Because as we saw yesterday, the Braves are a lot like the Phillies. They are never out of a ball game. If they're down 7-0, 6-1, you can never feel confident with that Braves lineup. And it wasn't even like their big bats that brought them back. It was the Darnos and the back end of their lineup guys. What's that?
Former Philly, Travis Darno.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What does Zach Wheeler have to do today, guys? And can he do it to take a commanding 2-0 lead in this series? Jason.
I mean, I look at what Zach Wheeler did in the St. Louis game, his St. Louis start. He didn't come out and light the world on fire. He wasn't throwing, it wasn't one of those high strikeout games, but what he did do was he commanded the strike zone. He missed bats, a lot of foul balls, and he went 6 innings. He gave up no runs, and that's what I look for today. I'm not expecting a Zach Wheeler 10 strikeout, 8 inning performance. I'm not. Right. I don't think Zach Wheeler is I don't think he's at that peak level that he was last year. I still think he's a little bit has a tired arm. Thank God they rested him when they did, because I think they did that for this purpose. But I think Zach Wheeler will come out today, and I'm looking for 6 or 7 innings. He has to.
I need 7 innings today for sure.
Cannot go 5. It's got to be 6 or 7. I'm going to go with 7 innings. He's going to strike out 5. He'll walk about a batter, and
which right there, only walking one batter is a major improvement. Real quick. Oh, go ahead.
2 runs.
Okay. I'm looking at his season stats or his season game logs against the Braves this year. He pitched against the Braves August 3rd, went 7 innings, 5 hits, no walks, gave up 1 run, 7 strikeouts. We won that game 3-1. Before that, he pitched against him on June 28th. We lost that game 5-3. He gave up 3 runs in 6 1/3. Still struck out 8 batters in that game. We lost that game. Before that, his other start against the Braves was on May 23rd. We won that game 7-3. He went 6 2/3 and gave up 2 runs. So he hasn't really pitched any clean games against the Braves. That's partly because the Braves are a damn good baseball team. Anything that you saw this year, Dylan, do you have the confidence that Zach Wheeler can come out here today and dominate this Braves lineup?
I do. Simply because I just feel like he has that big game, that high intensity kind of mentality, that kind of energy. And I think he shows up in the biggest way as a Phillies ace. I get it. The numbers against Atlanta aren't perfect. They're not pretty, but he has been the most consistent part of this Phillies team throughout the entire season. The injuries, the batting woes, Aaron Nola's up and down, the bullpen's up and down, Zach Wheeler, couple bad starts mixed in, do not get me wrong, an injury mixed in, but he has been the most consistent piece of this team. And if the Phillies need their ace to show up today, he's definitely the guy to do it. Real quick, slight problem, fellas. Thunderstorms, rain and lightning in Atlanta from 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. today. All 90, 50, 70%. So make of that what you will. Game starts at 4:30. I don't know what'll happen. Hopefully the Phillies get a game in today and the weather's not too much of a factor. But
since nobody actually, what you said, it starts at about 3 o'clock, the bad weather.
Yeah,
they should bump the game up to 12 o'clock because no one will show up anyway at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. They might as well just do that because none of the fans will show up anyway.
Yeah.
Real quick, before we make our game predictions for today, I want to pause for a quick second here. Today's show and all of DSM Media is brought to you by Gents Barber Lounge. Check out one of their 2 great locations in Fishtown and Old City and book your appointment today. Gents owns the craft and it shows. Rated the #1 barbershop on Yelp in the Philadelphia area. Multiple award-winning barbers and being able to handle any style of cut, adult or kid. Take a look at this quick video. Again, Gents Barber Lounge in Philadelphia. Guys, it's time. All right, so, the theme of the show is putting respect on the Phillies, putting respect on the Eagles' name. Before we get into the Eagles in a second, predictions on today's game, and mind you, it's my prediction for today, kind of learn to put respect on this Phillies team. You had everybody's favorite Mets reporter, Anthony DiComo, yesterday, tweeting out after the game, watching the Phillies knock out Max Fried in the 4th, only underscores the randomness of a best-of-5 NLDS. The Mets, who are way better than Philly, would have had an excellent chance at top of the Dodgers or any team. Let's show some respect. Your Mets did not make it to the NLDS. Your Mets choked away a division lead.
Against 2.
Against 2. Okay, exactly. You know what? So it's time to put some respect. And the way the Phillies can get some more respect on their name is by going up 2-0 in this series against the Braves. It's Zach Wheeler. You guys both said what you think about Zach Wheeler. I actually think even better. I think Zach Wheeler comes out tonight, today, this afternoon, whenever it is with those rainstorms. As long as there's no stoppage, that means he has to come out of the game because of the rain. He's going to go 8 shutout innings and strike out 12 Braves batters today. And we are going to win this game. 2-0. Dylan, what do you got?
A shutout is a risky prediction, Phil. I like it.
Oh, it's putting respect on my Phillies, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of respect. Listen, I'm not going to pick against them, right? I can't. What they've shown me so far, what they were able to do with Ranger Suarez yesterday on the mound, disagree with that point. You did choke away your division lead, and you had a 3-game series against the Atlanta Braves. So I don't know. But I'm going to go with the Phillies win. I think Wheeler deals. I think they only give up 2 or 3 runs. I like that prediction a lot. It's all going to come down to the bats, runners in scoring position again, because the Braves are going to score a little bit. I'll go Phillies 5-3.
Okay, 5-3. I got 2-0. Kyle's got 4-2. Jason, what do you got?
So I think it's going to be a nail biter again. I think it's going to be a 3-2 Phillies win. I think Wheeler will go 7, give up 2 runs, and I think the bullpen will come in and shut it out. But it's going to be one of them games where in the 9th inning we're pulling our hair out. I just think Atlanta is just too good of a team. They're not a team that's just going to get blown off. Kyle Wright, to me, I know they started Max Fried yesterday. I think Kyle Wright is actually their best pitcher, so I think he's going today. So it'll definitely be a.
All right, so I got to cut you off for a second, Aaron. Just win your division, then you get. Don't blow the division lead, and then you wouldn't have been playing in that first round.
Come on, man. Come on, bro. We know that these are the rules. We know the setup. Just
the rules are the rules, Aaron. We got a bitter
Mets series.
All these bitter Mets fans.
I'm just messing with Aaron. It's fun. It is fun.
Sorry. Jason, you could go. I'm sorry that Aaron had to make me interrupt you, Jason.
It's all right. So 3-2 Phillies win.
Yeah.
I actually think Bryce Harper goes deep today. I'm calling it.
All right. I
home
like
run.
it.
Second
I
of
can
the
get behind that.
season.
I wonder what the odds are on a Bryce Harper home run. I might have to lay a buck or two since I did win yesterday. So.
Yeah, well, you can take that money and put it on a Bryce Harper home run.
Well, I'm not going to put all $30 or $40 on a Bryce Harper. I'm not a big gambler like that. I don't lay the big bucks like Dylan does.
The hell out of here. Bryce is plus 450 to go yard today.
So $10 will win you $45.
Kyle Schwarber is plus 310.
Okay.
And Nick Castellanos, if you're feeling froggy, is plus 750.
I like it. I'm feeling froggy for the MVP of the NLDS right there. I like it. All right, guys. It's all about respect. We all got the Phillies winning today. Hopefully that's not us homerish being, homerish people. Hopefully. But there's also a lot of disrespect being thrown towards our Philadelphia Eagles. Okay? It's time to talk about that part of it and that part of the show. Let me get my Midnight Green Eagles up on the screen here. So 2 things yesterday. Well, 1 thing yesterday, 1 thing on Sunday. Seth Joyner on Sunday, Philadelphia Eagles legend, on his post-game live show, talking about how the Cowboys are going to come in here and smash the Eagles based off of the way we played on Sunday. And yes, we did not play a clean game. And then you've got a national media outlet that is supposed to be unbiased, Sunday Night Football on the ESPN account, posting a picture of Eagles fans saying, "We want Dallas." And their quote was, "You sure you want Dallas Eagles fans? You telling me that the NBC Sports Philadelphia people aren't rooting for the Dallas Cowboys to win that game?" Look, first off, the Eagles are 5-0. The Cowboys are 4-1. The Eagles, people say, haven't beaten anybody. Well, who the hell have the Cowboys beaten? They say, they beat the Rams 22-10 on Sunday. The Rams
beat the Rams missing 4 offensive linemen.
Matthew Stafford is not Matthew Stafford of last year. Their running game is terrible because of that. Their defense isn't as great as it used to be. The Cowboys should have, if the Cowboys were so good as people say, the Cowboys should have beaten that Rams team 35-10, 40-10. But they're not. They beat a Giants team that we're still not sold on. I forget the other games.
Washington and Cincinnati.
Washington stinks. We know that. Who did they lose to, the Cowboys?
Tampa Bay week 1.
Tampa Bay week 1, who's not even that great of a team. Tampa Bay has plenty of holes on their team. So for every check mark against the Eagles being 5-0, there's just as many check marks against the Cowboys. So let's put some respect on the Eagles. And why? All right, NBC Sports Philadelphia, the NBC Sports 10 or the Sunday Night Football crew, them tweeting that out annoyed the hell out of me.
Yeah.
But Seth Joyner watches every Eagles and Cowboys game. And I don't want him to be biased. I want him to be honest and all. But how can he see what the Cowboys have done and think they're that much better than the Eagles?
It's so overreactionary.
The Eagles at least beat the Vikings, who are leading their division, playoff team right there.
Yeah.
Guys, I am mind-boggled by the lack of respect of the team. They're not 2-0 or 3-0. They are 5-0. I am mind-boggled at the lack of respect that the Eagles are getting right now.
It's so overreactionary. Go ahead, Jason.
It's okay. So you're upset at the disrespect. So you know how we fix that? The Eagles come out Sunday and smack the shit out of the Cowboys. And then that way, nobody could say anything.
Well, they'll make an excuse that they were using their backup Cooper Rush or Dak Prescott played, before he was supposed to.
No, because if you're going to see, it has to work both ways. So
I think it's the national media.
If you're going to say that Dallas is good, and that's one of the reasons why they're so good, because of Cooper Rush, having a backup in there and they're still having success. Well, if they get beat with said backup, then you can't use that excuse and say, well, we had a backup in there. No, because if you use this excuse for why they're so good because of him, now you can't just take that away.
No.
See, that's
what the national narrative will be.
Okay, and I could care less about the national narrative. I agree with you. I'm more upset about the local narrative of
absolutely. Seth Joyner on Sunday. Seth Joyner, the way he phrased that on Sunday, I wanted to talk about it on Monday, but I was trying to keep the show so positive. And then yesterday we were just previewing the baseball game, so we didn't get to it. I mean, Seth Joyner, Dylan, he's a legend in Philly. And I don't want him to be biased. I want him to give us an unbiased opinion. But with what he sees all year long, how can he have such a negative feeling towards this Eagles team?
It's so overreactionary, man. Like don't get me wrong. This Cowboys team, kudos to them. Like props to them. They are playing good football. They're winning just as the Eagles are winning ever since Dak Prescott went down. They just went on the road. And while the Rams have a lot of flaws, beat a Rams team and held them to 10 points regardless of their banged up offensive line. That front seven, Micah Parsons, they're real. I get it. That defense is really good, and they're playing inspired football under Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush was 10 of 16 on Sunday, threw for like 100 yards or less.
Yeah.
They didn't go out. They had a fumble recovery for a touchdown to start the game, and then they blocked the punt and got out to a 9-0 lead. The game was over from there, and it was the Rams' mistakes that led to the Cowboys' win. Seth Joyner, of anybody, should know how hard it is to win in the league and should know that a team isn't going to go undefeated, to know that every win isn't going to be pretty. My favorite quote, I forget who put it out, but I said it on Monday and yesterday. Did the Eagles look beatable on Sunday, Phil? Yeah. Yes, they did. But every other team has been beaten. Mm-hmm. There's a difference there.
Yeah, I said the same thing. It doesn't matter whether you win luckily or you looked beatable, but a win is a win in the NFL. At the end of the season, if the Eagles are 12-5, 13-4, 11-6, whatever they are, you don't look back and be like, well, this game they could have lost.
Right.
Well, they didn't lose that game. They won that game.
Right. Dude, the Eagles defense hasn't allowed a team to score more than 17 points since week 1 of the season. And 17 this past week.
Week 3.
And
we are now entering week 6.
17 this last week was their high since week 1.
I think the problem
at home they're going to allow Cooper Rush to come in and move the ball down their throats?
I think the problem is that you have to have, and listen, I know a lot of people will say, well, you're just being homers. Nobody can argue. The Eagles are 5-0. Roster-wise, the Eagles right now, today, I'm not talking about like 7 games from now, the end of the season. Obviously, you have to play it out. Right now, today, the Eagles are the most complete team in football. They are. Nobody can argue that. Dallas Cowboys are a very good team, but you cannot say that the Dallas Cowboys are so much better than the Eagles when they have less wins, they have 1 loss, and their roster complete-wise is not as good as the Eagles because their offense has not been anything near good.
It's been awful.
Jason, Dylan, guys, it's like everybody that the Eagles have beaten. When we beat Detroit, Detroit was the number 1 offense in football for how long? So they got shut out this week. Everyone was hyping up the Detroit Lions, and we still beat them. Minnesota. Everybody was like hyping up Minnesota, then we beat them. Oh, well, they're not any good.
Well, Phil,
and then we beat Jacksonville. Everybody's saying Jacksonville's the next big threat in the NFL. We beat them. Oh, well, they're not that good of a team that we beat. Arizona Cardinals. Oh, Kyler Murray. They're going to be a Super Bowl team someday. Oh, well, they're not that good after we beat them.
We're talking about respect, right?
I don't. Changes.
But that's my point. I don't know when the narrative flipped or how it flipped, because through the first 3 and 4 weeks of the season, while the Eagles were undefeated, and yes, the Cowboys were already starting to win under Cooper. Like, let's stop with the Cooper Rush nonsense. Like, let's stop it. He's come in, he's played serviceable, he's managed the ball, he's made a couple throws. Let's freaking stop. Okay. So here's the thing: what has happened that now it's flipped back? Because when the Cowboys were healthier, when their offensive line was a little bit healthier, even when Dak was playing, or they thought Dak was going to be coming back soon, everyone was saying the Eagles have a better roster. The Eagles are the best team in the NFC, blah, blah, blah. They still haven't lost, but now the narrative is flipped. The Cowboys are going to come in and beat the Eagles. What happened? Where along the line did it change? The Eagles did nothing to prove otherwise so far. So when we do our weekly power rankings, like Jason, I agree with you at the bottom. Like, I have the Eagles 1, you have the Eagles 1. If a team is number 1 and they don't lose that week, how do they get bumped down? Style points don't matter, guys. So because the Bills beat the dog shit out of the Steelers and the Eagles squeaked by the car, it doesn't matter. The team that was on top did nothing to discredit themselves or prove you wrong. So where is the disrespect? Listen, it was one post. It was Seth Joyner on a bad network.
Which we could talk for hours about how that network has instantly flipped to just be no different than the dial.
And maybe that's what some of the take was, although
I really do think that's part of it, that they've gotten a little bit bigger at that network, and now they're telling their people. You even see Dirk Gunn making hot takes and bold predictions and crazy statements and all. You know, they got Dan Silly over there, the biggest
reports that were put out in the offseason that had no factual evidence to them at all.
Right,
and
exactly. When they shared yesterday a post that the Eagles are interested in Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, who said?
Somebody from their network said that. Who?
Right.
Because you know what? Why would the Eagles want to go out and get Christian McCaffrey at this point?
Probably the same people that said that the Bills are interested in Christian McCaffrey. These idiots. It's all speculation. Yeah. Like, and Aaron has a comment here on the Bills. And yes, I agree. I think if there is a team that could compete, I think right now it's Eagles and Bills are probably 1 and 1A. I mean, the Bills are the best team in the AFC.
The Bills have lost a game, though.
Exactly.
I mean,
Bills should have lost too, by the way.
What's that?
Bills should have lost too if Lamar Jackson doesn't throw a pick in the end zone with 2 minutes left in the game.
Exactly.
Did they look beatable that week?
One thing I will say is the Bills have looked good
in
their 4 wins.
They're dominant. They're still Super Bowl favorites.
Dominant in their wins.
I think the Bills have probably played better competition too.
Yeah, for sure. And they're going to play the Chiefs this week.
But I just look at the Cowboys and what they've done in their wins. It's not like they've blown out. Like the Cowboys have played some bad teams, and they haven't blown them out. They've struggled to win those games.
Yeah.
I just don't get the narrative that Dallas is so much better than this Philly. And I don't even know, because again, like I said it, Kyle just said it again. If the Eagles win, it'll be Dak was hurt. Unless the Eagles come out this week, which I don't think this is the way it's going to go, guys. Unless Dallas or the Eagles come out and blow the shoes off the Cowboys and win like 35-0, then there will be a narrative that says, well, the Cowboys have an excuse because no one wants to put respect on this Eagles team. Now, I don't think it's going to be that way. I think the game's going to be super close.
I guess Seth Joyner can argue maybe part of his point was the fact that if they come in and sleepwalk their way through Sunday night like they look like they did in Arizona, then the Cowboys defense and that team will beat the shit out of them. Maybe that was part of his point. I don't know. But again, man, Cooper.
The Arizona game was a trap game. Let's face it.
And they won the trap game.
And they still won. Exactly.
I agree. Listen.
I mean, see, the fear that I'm gonna have, we're gonna win this game on Sunday, or maybe we're gonna lose. I don't know, but I haven't made that final prediction in my head yet. but it's going to hard. That Dallas defense is legit. Micah Parsons is legit. That front seven is legit on Dallas. And if we have missing offensive linemen, which are still, we need Jordan Mailata back on Sunday night. We really do. If we don't have him back, I am concerned. But either way, that front seven is going to give Hurts and Miles Sanders in the run game fits. There's going to be no way that they're going to score more than 17 or 20 points this Eagles offense against that defense. But on the flip side, with Cooper Rush, I keep wanting to say Cooper Kupp, Cooper Rush, starting, or an injured Dak Prescott starting, our defense is just as good, if not better than Dallas's, because it's more well-rounded. They're not going to score 20 points against us. So we're looking at a 17-14, 20-14, 2017 type game this week, which means either side that wins, the narrative will be about Dallas. Go ahead, Jason.
No, it's okay. We have to figure out the blitz, because obviously that's one weakness that Jalen Hurts cannot get over and get past. We've talked about Jalen Hurts and his improvement in every aspect of his game. He still cannot get past the blitz. Like, that is one thing.
Can't diagnose it right now.
And my concern is that teams are going to see what Arizona did, and they're going to mimic that, because good defensive coordinators are going to follow the script. So
the Arizona game, to me, it was magnified by no Jordan Mailata. If you see it, like I think 5 of the 10 hits that he took came off of the backup left tackle.
But if we're gonna sit there and praise the Eagles' depth and the fact that, oh my God, we have a great offensive line, it's not just the starters. Our depth is better than a lot of starters on other teams. If we're gonna say that, then we need said depth to come through and stop with the excuse that, oh, well, Jordan Mailata wasn't in there. And when it comes to the blitz, I don't think it matters if Jordan Mailata is in there. If teams are blitzing like Arizona did, they're going to get through. It's the matter of Jalen Hurts adapting and learning how to.
It is.
It's the offensive coordinator's job to say, hey, this team's blitzing. Maybe we should just run the football a little bit instead of just trying to throw
well,
to make Jalen look like this superstar, which, listen, let's face it, he has improved. But let's see how it is, though, when he's struggling. That's my concerns, and that's where I want to see Jalen, the next level type stuff with Jalen.
It's up to Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen as well, mid-game to slide. Yes, it's up to Jalen to pre-snap, dying. Like, when we're sitting at home, teams like the Lions did it week 1, the Cardinals did it last week. They're not disguising blitzes. There's nothing pretty about what they're doing pre-snap. They are lining 7 up on the line of scrimmage, and they're ready to come, and they don't do anything about it. It's up to slide protections, to throw an extra tight end out there, to slide an extra running back over to chip, whatever the case may be. They're not doing it. So it's on both of them. I have a question for you guys. I think I'll give you my prediction now. I think the Eagles win. I'm sorry. Stop it. I'll say it again. Stop it with the Cooper Rush nonsense. Okay. But this game could not have come at worse timing. Because I don't know how many times I can say it. I know we sit here and we look at the schedule and it's impossible to point out a loss. They are going to lose ball games. It is the NFL. Teams just don't. I know it's happened. Teams just don't go undefeated. 5-0 Eagles, 4-1 Cowboys, Sunday night at home. It's the worst timing ever. Because this can't be the loss to this fan base. Like, this cannot be the first loss to this fan base, because the city will burn down. But losses are going to come. Mm-hmm. It's a bad time game, man.
I don't know. I kind of feel like the bye part of it is thrown in there as well. Go ahead, Jason.
No, I always say like almost every single year when I pick, I always say it's going to be a split with Dallas, just because that's generally how it goes. I mean, there's years where the Eagles, win both, and there's years Dallas wins both. But this year, I had this pegged. I don't know if you have our original list, Phil. But I don't know.
I heard where you're going. I pulled your list out.
I don't know if I had this as a loss.
You had it a win. We both had them winning the home Cowboys game and losing the road Cowboys game. But we also had them both with 2 losses at this point. So, that being said, we both had them 4-2 going to the bye, which if you backtrack to the before the season started show, we both were very, very happy this team was 4-2 going into the bye. But if you go into the bye 5-1, and that one loss was the game going into the bye, that's a long 2 weeks with no Eagles, without that victory. So while it comes at a bad time, Dylan, I also think it's probably at this point the most important game we've had this season.
Oh, for
if you
sure.
lose last week against Arizona, we still, we could have discussed it not being the most important game. This, to get to 6-0 going into the bye, beating your division rival Cowboys, right before the bye, making a statement when everyone is throwing disrespect on your name. It's the biggest game of the season so far. If they win this game but lose week 8 coming out of the bye, that's fine. We can still be positive at 6-1. But if we lose this game and then win coming out of the bye, it doesn't matter. There's still 2 weeks of mulling all the problems on this Eagles team. It's a bad look. Everyone's going to hype the Cowboys, say the Cowboys are number one, no matter what the game script is. This is the most important game at the moment in the season. And looking at the rest of the schedule, it might be the most important game for the next going forward. It very well might dictate the narrative of this team for the rest of the season.
Because nothing they do, if they come out of the bye and win the next 2 out of the bye, it's still not going to get that picture, that image out of people's heads that they lost to the Cowboys. They lost the division lead early in the season at home to the Cowboys. It's not good. And with their backup quarterback, wait till Dak comes back. They'll be on another stratosphere from the Eagles. So it's as close to an early season must win as you can possibly get. And the team's 5, and this isn't, they're 2-3 and they need a win heading into the bye week to be 3-3.
Can I ask you guys a question? If the narrative wasn't that the Eagles are going to get crushed by Seth Joyner, by the national media, if the narrative was different, if people were saying that the Eagles deserve the respect because they're 5-0 and, all that, if the narrative was the complete opposite going into this game, like it should be, would it be as important of a game? We're saying it's must win, but if the narrative was flipped, I don't think it would be because being 5-1 after 6 weeks, you're still controlling your own destiny for the rest of the season. But the narrative that the team always wants and always needs to earn respect, it seems like. Jalen Hurts always needs to earn more respect because he never gets enough of it. If the narrative was different, it might not be as important, guys, right?
Can we be honest?
Yeah.
If this is 7 weeks down the line and the Eagles are 10-3 or whatever at that point, I'm not good with math.
Right.
If they're 10-3, there's still going to be questions, and there's still going to be the narrative that the Eagles are not for real. It happens every single year. It happened in 17 when we were 13-1.
If the narrative
13-1 in 17, and people were saying Eagles are overrated, they're not for real. Why do you think that dog mentality, that underdog thing worked so well in 17? Because of that. Because it didn't matter. The Eagles could have been 15-0, and people are going to say, well, it's just the Eagles. They're not a good roster. There's other teams. There's the Bills. There's the Chiefs. Eagles don't have Mahomes. They don't have Josh Allen. That's something we're going to have to live with. I think even if we make the Super Bowl, we're going to be underdogs.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Dylan. Would the narrative changing make a difference? No,
I don't think so. Because here's the thing: we can sit here and talk about respect, and we can sit here and talk about the national media and Seth Joyner. At the end of the day, this group right here, Eagles fans in this city, we know what this team is through 5 weeks. A win or a loss versus Dallas shouldn't hurt our thoughts going forward, because a loss, while it sucks and it's going to be the longest 2 weeks of the effing season, it's not going to deter me from thinking that the Eagles are still going to win the division, that they're still going to be a serious contender in the end.
Has Cooper Rush been named officially the starter for this week?
No, but I did see a tweet from the John Kincaid show that Schefter said it's as unlikely as it probably can get that Dak's not playing.
So Dak's not. Most likely Dak is not playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if this Eagles defense can't stop Cooper Rush, then we got a lot of questions. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I said, it's really going to come down to the defensive lines versus the offensive lines on both teams.
I think the overall number one important thing is going to be how's the Eagles offense play. If the Eagles offense plays to his capabilities, there's no reason we lose this game. None. because, as you said, they're not going to be able to move on our defense.
I will say this as a good segue into tomorrow's show as we get more into the specifics of the Dallas Eagles game. And maybe I'll do some research by tomorrow if I have time to do it. Kind of feel like Jalen Hurts has always had really major – yeah, as bad as Kirk Cousins has been on Monday Night Football, I kind of feel like when the spotlight's on Jalen Hurts, the big game moments, Jalen Hurts does seem to thrive.
Outside of the Cowboys Monday night game last year.
What's that?
Outside of the Cowboys Monday night game last year.
Yeah. But for some reason, I just feel like Jalen Hurts is meant for the big lights. And Sunday Night Football, you know, it's kind of the biggest game of the week every year, or every week of the year. So
Monday Night Football was big last year.
But Monday Night Football, I mean, it's starting to get a bigger reputation now with a better announcing. I don't know. Monday Night Football to me has always been the second biggest game of the week for a long time now. It's for a long time now. Sunday Night Football to me is the game of the week. That's always the best.
Because you're already in football mode. You're sitting there and you're waiting for that primetime game. Monday
Night Football lost its luster a long time ago to me. I could care less about Monday Night Football. I don't want the Eagles to play on Monday Night Football because I find it boring. I could see a scenario 5-10 years from now where Monday Night Football doesn't even exist anymore.
Well, to your point from Monday, they better get A.J. Brown acclimated back into the offense this week.
They will.
He should be the number one focal point.
Well, we'll get into more of the details of the game tomorrow and Friday on the show. We're going to wrap up Trending in the AM right there today, guys. Let's put some respect on this Philadelphia sports city, not just the Phillies, the Eagles, the Sixers. Hell, I'll throw the Union in there too. I'm not throwing the Flyers in there. There's no respect there. Is the season about to start soon or something? I don't even know.
Yeah, the NHL kicked off last night.
We haven't had a "What's Up with the Flyers" segment.
I don't even care. Come on. When is Jason? When's the first Flyers game?
Thursday.
All right. So maybe Thursday morning. Oh, that's tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe I will give you 3 minutes tomorrow morning, Jason, to talk 3 minutes to talk Flyers. That's it. You'll get you better practice how you can throw every Flyers thing you want to say into a 3-minute window. If I knew how to put a countdown clock on the screen, I would do that as well.
I think you might want to make it 3 seconds.
Yeah.
3 seconds. Okay.
Because I have 3 words.
Yeah. We're going to wrap it up. Again, if you're watching on replay, make sure you hit the like button, the share button, depending on which platform. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, the subscribe button, drop your comments. Even on replay, they do help us build the algorithm. We would greatly, greatly appreciate that. I am Phil Stifler, your host of Trending in the AM at Beard of Knowledge. Today, we got Dylan Davis, Dylan JD98, Jason Ford. He's at Mustang3651. Make sure you shoot my guys a follow. And everybody have a great day. And let's get another big Phillies win today, boys.
Ring the bell.
Ring the bell.
And Philadelphia has it. Holding gets around